Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to our image trace lesson. And this one's going to be pretty easy. There's not a lot of steps you can take. As for you guys, I want you to find the images on your own. I'll tell you what to look for, but for now I'm going to do a demonstration. Um, but okay, hold on a second. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, so for this assignment is I want you guys to find everything on your own, find an image of a person or a dog or something. So go online, look for one. It doesn't really matter if it's copywritten or not, because it's going to be an assignment. You're not going to make money off of it, so it's completely fine if you use an image. Any image you want, as long as it's appropriate, should be okay. Um, and once you find your images, you need to image trace them. But again, I'm going to show you the first step on how to image trace, and then I'm going to do the example for this one. Okay, I'm going to put this one right on the artboard, and check your artboard size first. Okay, so this is going to be, it's okay. I think this is a good size, but just to have a better idea what size it's going to be, I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, and Units. And I'm going to go to General, make sure it's on Units, General. From pixels, you can go to inches. So this is just in case if you don't have your set up at 2 inches. So let's press OK. And you get to go to Artboard Properties on the Properties panel. Click Artboard, and it's going to show you, okay, 1810 is fine. I think we're going to shorten the width a little bit more. Make sure your image isn't around 18. I think 15 is okay. So 15 by 10 is fine, but it really does depend on what size image you got. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and change that. For those who are having issues with resizing their images or cropping their images, you're going to have to do that with your artboard. And then save as use artboards. But I guess I can go through that with you after we finished image tracing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select the first image. This is just for demo. For you guys, I want you to get a portrait, but for me, I'm just going to show you what happens when you use, a simpler image compared to a portrait. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Properties. Make sure it's selected with the selection tool right here on the toolbar, Properties, and Image Trace. Okay, and there's a lot of options you can take. I always like to start with 3 colors. Let it fill out, and look, it turns it into a vector image. The cool thing about this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, is when you do image tracing, you can turn any JPEG image, any flat image into a vector image, and it simplifies it right away. So you can do that with your artwork, your doodles, anything like that. Okay, if you want to change the quality of the image trace, you can go to your Properties, Image Trace. You can notice that there's three colors. It's the same one we already selected. You can go to open the image trace panel, so it's going to open up a panel for you. Really simple. There's presets. Okay, and there's also like color, high color, low color. Don't worry too much about this. I mean, if you want to experiment with these, that's completely fine, but I want to keep it as simple as possible, especially for a beginning class, because if you do mess around with these, your computer can crash. So just keep it simple, okay? Because image trace is pretty heavy. It can be pretty heavy with to your computer, so just keep it simple. Okay, so there's preset. I don't want you guys to select this one. I'm going to select it for you just to show you how it looks like when you have a high fidelity option. But for you guys who are watching, don't select it because it might crash your computer. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and try. Especially if there's a lot of detailing. See, okay, yeah, if there's a lot of details, you are going to have issues with turning this into an image trace. Okay, so yeah, it's slowing down my computer by a lot. Okay, so we have this. Let me go ahead and select, and I'm gonna go ahead and expand. Okay, so once you expand, it's gonna turn your images into vectors and lines and paths. I'm gonna go ahead and undo because I have too many it's gonna crash my computer if I'm not too careful. Sometimes you just have to risk. Okay, so high fidelity, the more paths, the more detailing you have. Low fidelity is going to be more simplified. It's going to be focusing more on shapes. So this is a lot nicer. This looks a little bit more vector, stylized vector art. Here's your color options. So this color bar is going to be really helpful if you want to bring down the colors you want to use, the detailing. So I'm going to bring it down to 0 just to show you what happens. And it's going to simplify it a lot more. And yeah, so I think it's a lot easier to handle when you have simpler shapes, less detail, there's less paths you have to modify or deal with. Hold on a second. And just to see a preview, okay, there you go. So just to see a preview of how many paths you might be able to deal with, you can go down here. Okay, so this is going to have 181 paths. This is how many anchor points it's going to have, and this is how many colors you're going to see. So there's 93 colors. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I'm going to go to 3 colors now, and you can see the detailing is going to change right in the bottom. And I'm going to bring this down. And yeah, so the paths, I think there's a lot more paths, there's a lot more anchor points, but there's 2 colors. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more just to add some more detailing. There you go. And just to have a visual cue of how many paths you're going to see, you can always expand. And see, there's like less detailing, there's less you have to worry about modifying or anything like that. So, you know, less is better sometimes. So, yeah, I think that's a lot better to see visually. I'm going to go ahead and press Control Z just to undo. And I can show you other options. Okay, so there's custom. There's 6 colors. Okay, 6 colors looks a lot nicer. So it's very similar to 3. Okay, now there's 16. Okay, so again, a lot more detail. It's closer to high fidelity, so the more colors you use, the more detailing you see. Okay, so now there's shades of gray. So I want you guys to go through all of them and just to see how it, just play around, have fun. This takes out all the colors. It's completely black and white and gray. Okay, so there's black and white logo. This one's a lot more interesting. It turns everything into a silhouette. And if you go all the way to more, it's going to turn it completely black. So you have to find a good middle ground. So here, this would be really good. This really helps find a nice silhouette. So this is like really easy way to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do sketch art. So this is where it gets more interesting because it's basically the same. Okay, so sketch art, silhouettes, line art is basically the same. So when you get into this area, that's where everything looks very similar. So line art, it just sticks to more paths. It's a little odd sometimes. It really does depend on what images you choose. It's just really odd. Nothing looks really good with this one. You have to have some really crisp lines. If you already have line art, for example, and you scan it to your computer and you choose line art option, that would be fine. But for like real life photographs, it's not going to work. Okay, and then technical drawing. So we're just going to check the last one. It's the same thing. But yeah, I'd rather choose the ones right here. So if you want to, for your homework, I want you to choose low fidelity, 3 colors, 6 colors, or 16 colors. So these are the only ones I want you to choose. If you want, you can use high fidelity. but you have to make sure your computer is strong enough to be able to handle this. But this one should be okay. And I'm going to go ahead and choose 6 colors just for me. Okay, so 6 colors look good, and I'm going to go ahead and up the colors. Let it progress, and here you go. I got more detailing. I'm going to go to advanced. Okay, so this is where you change the paths. So higher values means tighter fit. What that means is whenever you mess around with your paths, if you have lower paths, it's gonna loosen up your lines, your paths a lot more. There's gonna be more gaps between your shapes and your colors. So I'm gonna go all the way down. But this one isn't too bad. I think it's because it's really simple. It's not gonna affect it too much. But if you have a lot of detailing, it is, yeah, it's very slight. Corners, let's bring this down a little bit, not by a lot. Okay, so it's just gonna smooth your corners out. Again, this is already very simplified and smooth, so there's no worries. This one's gonna be really nice. I think for whatever portrait you have, it's gonna simplify a lot more. It's gonna make things a little bit crispier. Very slight. This one didn't really need too much. Okay, and then you can also snap curves to paths, to lines, and you can ignore white. That's all up to you. And here is, again, how many paths you see. So I'm going to bring this up again just to see this change and see where it goes. Okay, so that's the same paths, but the anchors went up. Okay, and then I'm going to go all the way down again and just keep an eye on this. Okay, see, it went down. So the more anchor points you have, the harder it is for you to adjust. You know, and then the less you have, it's a lot easier for you to manipulate your images. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this little panel right here, and I'm going to go to properties. Make sure this is selected with the selection tool. Properties, and go all the way down to expand. Okay, now you see your paths. Interesting thing about this is once you have everything expanded, let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and drag selection tool. I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and deselect. And then I'm going to go ahead, I know it's a little redundant. Once you deselect it, you'd select the white area, or you can select any piece you want. You can select the yellow. Just select a big area like this. And you notice that there's a fill. You can change the color. So you can go to properties, fill, and change the color. I'm going to change it to gray. So you're able to modify pieces to colors. You can add stroke to them. I'm going to add brown. And you can add a stroke. So let's add a stroke. There you go. So you can see, you can add strokes. You can do a lot of effects with this. You can delete stuff. So I'm going to select this and backspace. So I got rid of that area. I'm going to get rid of this by selecting the shapes. So you get to simplify. Okay, so that's a good example of how you work with image trace. It's really, really easy. Okay, so I deleted my example, and this is what I want you guys to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select my image. I'm going to fit my artboard because I don't want to see any white areas. So I'm going to go to your tools panel, go to your artboard tools, click on that, and then bring in your artboard. So make sure it fits. So I don't want to see any white. You can have some room. That's completely fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select your image with, select tool. And on properties, you can go down and select image trace. Okay, and then I'm going to choose 16 colors. Let's try that. Remember, you have limited options. For me, I'm going to choose 16. You guys can either choose 3, 6, and 16, low fidelity. So these 4. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more just so I can see how this is going to look like once I modify. So if you're not happy with how blotchy this looks. Like it's just a lot of jagged edges. There's going to be a lot of anchor points that I'm going to have to mess around with. Not happy with this. So I'm going to go ahead and go here on the open image trace panel. It's right over here already, so that's good. Let me move this a little bit to the left. Okay, so let's see. No, color mode looks good. Palette limited. Okay, so I'm gonna bring down the colors just by a little bit, 10. Again, you get to experiment and modify however you want. You're free to use more colors or less colors. Yeah, I brought it down. I'm gonna lower the paths because I want it to look very smooth, or as smooth as possible. So it looks a lot smoother. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up down to 2% or lower just to see how it looks like. Yeah, way more smooth. Do like this. So if you want a smoother paths or image, go, just lower your paths. Let's look at corners. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one down a little bit just to see what it does. Slightly smoother, and noise usually works really well, I think. So I'm going to bring this one down to 1 pixel. Okay, so I think it wasn't a lot of noise, so it didn't really do anything. Okay, so over here, it creates cutout paths, and this one's overlapping, creates stacks of paths. I don't really want you guys to mess around with this. It doesn't really matter, especially once you expand. Okay, and then you're good, right? So once you've done that, I want you guys to expand and then cross that out. So remember, properties, expand. I'm gonna do it again just to show you. I think I'm gonna undo for me. Okay, so it's undoing that. Okay, selecting. Okay, so she have properties and expand. So it's under quick actions. If you don't see that, I'm going to do it again. If you don't see any expand right here, I can help you out with that. All you have to do is go to objects, expand, and make sure these 2 boxes are filled, and then press OK. Okay, there you go. So it does the same thing. As for you guys, I want you guys to modify clothing and eyes. So you can go ahead and choose the hat, change the color. I'm going to change it to blue, and I'm going to go to color mixer and just go ahead and select CMYK if you want, so you have more options. And I'm going to go make it a little bit teal, and maybe make it like a little bit pinker. I want pink, something pink. Yeah, okay, and there you go. You can, I'm going to go ahead and eyedrop this, and then I'm going to make this a little bit darker. So you get to change the color with your shapes. I'm going to change the eye color. Oops, accidentally do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change the eye color. So change the eye color and then change the clothing color, and you guys can have fun with whatever you want. It's all up to you. Just have fun, be creative. This is going to be a simple assignment. I don't want you guys to think too hard. Just to have fun and play around with it and just see what you can do. Okay, there you go. So I made her eyes green. Okay. You don't have to fill in everything, but this is bugging me. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. And you're going to see a lot of weird little blotches like this and this. You can connect them too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose the shape builder, so our old friend, just to connect those. And okay, it's choosing the other color. That's completely fine. There you go. All right, and I'm going to get rid of the background. So you can get rid of the background by using the direct selection tool. I'm going to create a marquee just to select this chunk right here and delete it. If you want, you can just select it one at a time with the direct selection tool. Just like click if you're not happy with shapes. So this looks really nice. There you go. I'm getting rid of some of the white, some of the gray, and this is really difficult. There you go. If you're having a hard time selecting something, just zoom in as much as you can. And there you go. Just a little bit of cleanup doesn't hurt. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, if you want to simplify a shape, like if you want to further simplify something, you can select, let's select these. I'm pressing shift and this. Okay, so you can select a shape by going to object, let's go path and simplify. And then you can bring down the points and you already see something smoothing out a little bit more. So you get to simplify. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this little ugly detailing here. There's a lot of detailing I want to get rid of. You can use the Pathfinder or you can just delete it. You know, and if there's a lot of weird gaps, my best bet is just to go to your paintbrush tool and then click on that and then go to blob brush. Okay, and then go and clean that up with your brush. And it's okay if you don't get it right the first time, because the blob brush, it connects everything, and it's really nice. And one way to connect them all securely is, you don't have to do this, but this is just if you want to, you can go to Windows, Pathfinder, and just unify. So unite all the shapes right here. So it becomes one big shape. It's all up to you on how detailed you want to be or not. It really does depend on what you want to experiment with. All my requirements are basically, I'm going to type it down for you. So my requirements is, it's a little bigger. Okay. They should be in your Canvas description of what I want you to change, but I'm going to type it down for you guys. So image, portrait, it could be a dog or a human. I want you to change clothing color and change eye color. And for the rest, I want you to experiment and have fun. Have fun. Just keep it appropriate. And that's it, really. That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to change too much to it with it. You know, just experiment, have fun, smooth out. If you want it to look detailed, if you want it to look more simplified, that's all up to you. Also, don't forget to image trace and expand. And expand. So these are my requirements. All right. If you guys want to remember how to export, so you could go to File, Export, Export As. I'm gonna go ahead and I know my desktop looks way messier now. JPEG and use Artboard. So don't forget to use Artboard, because if you don't, you're not gonna crop your image, and then press export. You should be okay. All right. I think that's it for now. Really easy, simple, have fun. If you have any questions, please join me on Volunteers Thursdays. And I'm going to also change the due date of your discussions. Instead of Friday, I'm going to make it Thursday, just to see if people more respond that day. I think Wednesday is a little too early for that. So let's have it on Thursday. And that's about it. All right. Yeah, all right. Please contact me if you have any issues. And I want you guys to have a great day. And yeah, all right. Bye, everyone. Oop, there you go. Now I have to remember